welcome to my video. Thank you for joining me for the build-up for El Clásico. Primarily, we are going to be discussing how Barca should line up against Real Madrid, but we're also going to be discussing how Real Madrid are going to line up against us, the recent update on player contracts for Barca, and some of the comments that Piques has made against the board today. All of that is coming up, so let's get right into it. So let's first start with the right wing position and who should fill that spot. Because currently right now I think that's the only attacking position that is up for grabs, and it could be filled by Trincao, Dembele or Griezmann. But who is going to be best suited to fill that position against an opposition like Real Madrid? So we'll first start off with Griezmann, and so far this season in Barca's 5 competitive matches, he started 4, he's played 264 minutes and has no goals and no assists. So he's definitely had a slow start to the season. But Griezmann has a lot of experience against Real Madrid. He has in fact played them 30 times and has scored 8 and assisted 5 all against Real Madrid. So Griezmann definitely has that going for him in terms of experience. He's not going to let the pressures of El Clásico get to his head. But when it comes to the position that's actually up for grabs of right wing, Griezmann is definitely not a right wing. Yes, he has all the freedom in the world to come inside. But when it comes to running down the wing, Griezmann just simply can't do that. He can't take a man on, run down the wing and cross it in. He's very direct in his methods. He always wants the ball inside the box or around the edge. And that's fine if you're our number 9 and you're banging in the goals like a prime Luis Suarez. But that is so far from where Griezmann is at right now. And if Griezmann was to have started against Ferencváros in the Champions League on Tuesday, I don't think we would have scored nearly as many goals, because 3 of our goals started from the right hand side and worked into the middle. And if Griezmann was in that position, I don't think he would have been able to create what Messi and Dembele did. But with the freedom to roam the pitch, he could have been a target man in the middle and switched with Messi and Dembele. But I still wouldn't trust him as the target man, because he's been missing a lot of key chances in the previous games. So it really is hard to think where the best position for Griezmann is in this Barca team and what is the right opponent for him. And until he starts getting into a goal scoring form, I think he should continue to come off the bench. So that being said, I don't think he should start against Real Madrid. That then leaves either Trincao or Dembele. And it is really hard to pick between the two, because I think Trincao has been the better player, but he has played slightly more minutes with only 23 extra over Dembele. But like Griezmann, he has no goals and no assists. And Dembele, on the other hand, has played the least minutes out of the 3 and has a goal and an assist. So with that being said, you would think that Dembele is the obvious option, because he has more experience over Trincao, because Dembele has also played in El Clásico before. But Dembele has only had 1 start so far this season, and that was against Getafe, and he was pretty terrible against them, giving the ball away something like 14 times in the 60 minutes he did play. But on the flip side, he came on around the 60th minute against Ferencváros, and he got a goal and an assist, whilst Barca were down to 10 men. So he might be now on really good form and shaking off that rust from his previous injuries. But it's still in the back of your mind, is he going to be really great from the first minute? And will he be able to play the full 90 minutes against a team like Real Madrid? I'm not so sure on that one, but Trincao did start in the Champions League on Tuesday and he wasn't affected by the situation whatsoever. So will he be affected by the huge occasion of El Clásico? Possibly, because he has only just turned 20, but I don't think so for the most part, simply for the amount of confidence that he did show in the Champions League. So Trincao was fine in that department and he has absolutely no troubles running down the wing and taking players on. But he does need to work on the end product when he does get by players and does find the space. Because like I've said, he hasn't got any goals or assists for Barca so far. And he was on the pitch for 3 of the goals against Ferencváros on Tuesday. He also didn't make the most of a couple of goal scoring opportunities that he could have converted. And if you have those sort of chances against Real Madrid, they have to be buried. You can't afford to miss these crucial opportunities in El Clásico. So with all this being said, I do think that we should go with Dembele. I think he did prove himself against Ferencváros in that 30 minutes he did have. He will be a sort of high risk, high reward against Real Madrid. And what I mean by that is he could play like he did against Getafe or he could play like he did against Ferencváros. So I do have confidence in him that he can continue this current form, and hopefully he doesn't give the ball away quite as much as he did against Getafe. So that's now right wing covered. So now on to the right central defensive midfield position alongside Frankie de Jong. Will it be Busquets or will it be Pjanic? So Busquets did start in our last 2 league games for Barca, and that was a 1-0 loss against Getafe and our 1-1 draw with Sevilla. And he didn't play too great in these games, and it's the same old sort of story with him. He's sort of slow and methodical, doesn't play any really key passes and doesn't help in the attack. And I don't think he should be trusted as a starting player in the big matches, these sort of crucial season-defining matches, because I do fear that he won't perform at the level that we want him to. And he can let us down when it comes to speed of play, and he does seem to lose the ball a lot when he is pressed. Pjanic, on the other hand, did seem like a breath of fresh air in the starting lineup. He hasn't been given much of a chance so far this season, and the game on Tuesday in the Champions League was his very first start. But Ferencváros isn't at the level of teams such as Real Madrid, Sevilla and Getafe, so it would be a little bit of a risk starting Pjanic in this game, but I think it is a risk worth taking, because in my opinion I think that Pjanic works better with De Jong than Busquets does. I think the speed of play was a lot quicker, and Pjanic sort of shared the same sort of duties as De Jong does going forward, and we aren't so reliant on De Jong being that only CDM getting the ball forward, and for that reason that's why I think that we should choose Pjanic over Busquets, so that we don't have one CDM who's just simply an anchor man and doesn't really help going forward. We can have 2 CDMs doing the same sort of job and working well together and linking up. And on top of that, I do think that Busquets will struggle in the game against Real Madrid and won't be able to keep up with the pace. The last position that's up for grabs is right back, because it's almost certain that Jordi Alba will start against Real Madrid. He will be returning from injury, so Serginho Dest will no longer be required to fill in that position. So will Dest get his first start at right back for Barca, or will Ronald Koeman pick Sergi Roberto as the more safe option? And for me, this is the most tricky one of all the positions to choose between both Dest and Sergi Roberto, because Serginho Dest I think is the more natural right back, but he wasn't too great in defence against Ferencváros on Tuesday, but he was on the left back position, which isn't his obviously preferred position. But from what I can remember, on 3 separate occasions, Barca could have prevented dangerous attacks if Serginho Dest just stuck to his player on the wing. But you can't be too harsh on him because he was on the left, but he definitely could have defended better on Tuesday. Sergi Roberto, on the other hand, didn't attack very well. He did defend okay, but Serginho Dest is just far superior to him on the attack. But even on the big occasions, Sergi Roberto doesn't even defend well. You can see that against Sevilla, Getafe and going back to Bayern Munich. So he isn't an amazing right back, but I don't quite think that Serginho Dest is quite ready for El Clásico, so I would probably still play Sergi Roberto in this game. But in time, Serginho Dest will grow as a player, and hopefully he is able to play El Clásico at the Bernabeu later on in the season. But you never know, Ronald Koeman may choose Dest over Roberto. I just don't think that he's just quite ready yet. But that is now everything for the Barca lineup that I want to discuss. On to now the Real Madrid squad list and lineup prediction. So you can probably expect Courtois to be in goals, obviously. Mendy at right back. Sergio Ramos will make a return for this game, so he will be playing. Alongside him will probably Varane and Marcelo at left back. The midfield will be interesting to see because it was Modric, Casemiro and Valverde who started in the Champions League, and they obviously did lose 3-2 to Shakhtar Donetsk. So we might see Toni Kroos or Isco come in for Valverde, and the front 3 will probably be Vinicius, Asensio and Benzema, and I will be pretty confident going into this game, but I won't go too in depth in it in this video. I'll leave that for my next video. But on to the updates on player contracts, and both Longley and De Jong have renewed till 2026. Ter Stegen has renewed till 2025 and Piques till 2024. And personally I'm happy with all these contracts. Some of them may be perhaps a bit long, but I don't think we're exactly going to see Piques till 2024. That's not exactly very realistic. But these 4 are all very vital players to Barca, so I'm glad they've all renewed. But on to player wage reductions, and so far only Ter Stegen, De Jong and Piques have actually come to a deal to reduce their wages. Piques is going to reduce by 50%, Ter Stegen and De Jong are going to reduce their wages by 30%, but the wages they aren't being paid have to be paid further down the line. But when it comes to all the other players, no one's even close to coming to a deal with the Barcelona board. So we'll have to wait and see if they're even able to, because there's talks of the vote of no confidence taking place on the 1st and 2nd of November. So they might get kicked out by the time they get a chance to even agree to new contracts with the players. But talking of the board, Piques had some very interesting things to say about them in the press today. So I'll just read out a couple of quotes that he did say. How can it be that the best player in the history decides to send a burofax because he feels that they are not listening to him? Obviously referring to the board not listening to Messi, so he had to send a burofax in order to get the message across that he did want to leave Barca. But Piques also did say it's outrageous that the club have spent money criticising us, aka the players. The club is alive more than ever. Getting 20k signatures seems incredible to me. That there are so many people rebelling when we can't protest due to the pandemic shows that the club is not sleeping. He was also asked about his relationship with President Bartomeu, and he said, I don't want to get on bad terms with anyone, but there have been times. He sort of cut himself off at that point, and I really do wish that he did go on to say more. But I do think he said more than enough there to get you thinking. And he's definitely amongst the people who do want the current president and board out. But that will not be long now. But that is now everything from me. Thank you very much everyone for joining me. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments. Let me know how Barca should line up. So thanks again, and bye.